What is up, guys? Welcome back to Starting Five Podcast. My name's Michael. I'm joined here with Shep, Joey, Chris, and Kai. Today, we've got some exciting topics to cover. So let's just kick it off.
Let's do it.
Fucking do it.
First topic. Will Messi turn U.S. domestic soccer into a global powerhouse? What are we thinking?
No.
No, why not, bro?
I
What?
think he's the first step.
You think he's the first step?
People thought Zlatan was the first step too.
Oof. Okay, but I mean, you're right. I love Zlatan, but Messi's on a different level. I've got some stats for you guys for the MLS. Right now, Messi is tearing it up. He's acquired billions of views throughout the MLS season, which is already setting records in and of itself. And in 2 games, granted not against the best opposition, he has 3 goals and an assist. So pretty crazy stats. I think that he has the potential to do big things, but Joey, explain more why you don't think he can do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world, but he's playing against like dudes that can't play in any league in Europe.
Right.
Soccer in the United States is not a thing people grow up playing. People grow up playing basketball, football, baseball. Soccer is not thought of in the United States as really a pillar of sport. Now, granted, I do think he will have a little bit of an effect on the popularity. Kids will see him playing in the MLS and get into it a little bit more, but I just don't see it having a big long-term effect on the popularity and the caliber of play in the MLS.
Yeah, Chris, why don't you explain why you do think that he can turn it around?
I just think that he is the first step to this huge turnaround that is coming
I love it.
in terms of soccer getting popularity in the States.
I love
So
that.
he's still in the back end of his prime. Obviously, he's not as good as he was a few years ago, but he's getting young kids to watch. Like, there's no doubt that United States, have probably the best athletes in the entire world. They're just choosing to play basketball and football.
So that was one thing I was going to say. One thing I've never understood is really why American soccer has never really been a powerhouse compared to the other European countries. Because if you look at every single other sport, basically, you have the athletes, you have the opportunity. So why do you guys think that is? It's just a lack of interest thing.
Well, I've actually pointed out 2 reasons that I think that Messi alone won't be able to turn the U.S. into a global powerhouse, and it addresses on what you said, Kai. The first one is Saudi Arabia taking MLS players. Now, I think that if Saudi Arabia weren't taking MLS players right now, the MLS would consolidate all those players and be a better league for it, be more competitive, and make their sort of growth a little bit less, unparalleled. I don't think right now, with Saudi Arabia taking MLS players, I don't think that I think it's slowing the growth for both parties. And another thing is the price. I try to watch an MLS game, Messi playing, I think it was Atlanta United, and guess what? I got met with a screen that says if you are already an Apple TV Plus subscriber, you have to pay $40 a season or $12.99 a month. And if you are not an Apple TV Plus subscriber, I have to pay $15.99 a month. Like, are you kidding me? How in the world do you want to market your sport if people don't know about it? It's ridiculous to me that they're placing the emphasis on making the people that love the sport pay as opposed to marketing out to people that don't know about the sport so that it gets more popularity. Do you guys think that they're having a winning strategy for that?
Which is why the MLS has failed the American youth into getting kids into soccer. That's why Messi's so important, because kids are still not going to watch the MLS. They're just going to watch Messi. They're going to go on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and just see Messi highlights, and then through Messi, they're going to start getting more into the sport, start following maybe some European teams. But what I think the biggest change will be the U.S. men's team doing well in the Copa America and the World Cup.
That's going to be a huge factor.
And
huge.
I think combining Messi with the U.S. team doing well in those tournaments more kids are gonna start playing the sport.
I totally agree with you. I think that it has to be a combination of factors, especially with how the World Cup was. I mean, everyone was so excited about World Cup fever, even in the US. And for that to become a consistent thing and for us to actually become good, I think that's going to end up being more important than Messi just being good in the domestic league.
For sure, but I think Messi coming over is definitely that first step, like you guys mentioned.
Exactly.
Definitely could be a first step.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I really just don't like the fact that they're not placing the focus on marketing. They're just placing the focus on money. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different conversation in terms of putting sports behind a paywall. I think that's eventually what it's going to come to in all sports. But I think because soccer is so niche in the US, it's a good thing for the publication services to kind of experiment with until they get to eventually football, basketball, all that.
I agree.
The paywall is definitely an issue, but I mean, you just got to think like Messi himself is marketing for the league just by being there. Like the MLS is being talked about in the States more than it has been in the past, 5 years, just because Messi is in Miami. Like
It's
that in
true.
and of itself is growing the league. But
It's true.
that's just my 2 cents. I still think that the skill gap from the States to European leagues is too great for it to make any real effect right
Mm,
now.
mm.
But as Chris and Kai were saying, it could definitely be a starting point for U.S. domestic soccer to grow into, a more prominent sport on the national stage in the U.S.
I agree. I think that the fandom is going to grow at a more reasonable rate than our talent because realistically, the talent's in Europe. It's been in Europe, and I think it's going to stay there. But hopefully, with a combination of marketing, as Chris said, the U.S. men's national team and Messi, obviously, hopefully soccer can become something like that in the States. Maybe we've got some baseball lovers here, but I like
Yeah,
soccer.
that's a good point, Michael. And the key is like keeping the good American players in the MLS because I mean, Pulisic went over to Europe when he was what, 14 years old or something
Mhm.
like that to
Yeah.
join the academy. I mean, the key for them is going to be keeping the domestic players domestic.
That's how you grow talent. Yeah. It's got to be a whole infrastructure change, and that's not even touching on the subject of soccer youth academies in the States being exponentially more expensive than they are in Europe. I don't know if anyone here has heard of that, but I believe that for the average soccer player to go into an academy here, it's thousands and thousands of dollars, as opposed to in Europe, they pretty much pay for you to go play for them because you can be talented and you have a high ceiling. So,
Yeah. So that answers my question about why we aren't as big of a powerhouse is because the
oh yeah,
opportunity it's
Yeah.
not there, not the same as it is in Europe.
it's a shame. It's an
So
absolute shame.
I did not know that.
It is a
Oh,
shame because the
Yeah.
talent is there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
the
we have
opportunity.
a great pool of talent. You've got countries like Croatia that have not even a tenth of our population, and they're still making World Cup semi runs and Euro runs. Insane. All right, let's move on from this topic. It will definitely develop in the coming days. Today, we've done something special. For this segment, we are going to pick a playoff or Super Bowl dark horse contender, and we are going to be prepared to defend our pick. So, why don't we all just say our picks? I will go first. I pick the Packers not to win the Super Bowl, but to make a deep playoff run. Shep.
I picked the Atlanta Falcons to make a playoff run
Oh
this
my
season.
god.
That's crazy.
Oh
That's
my
actually
god.
crazy.
Chris.
Well, I picked the Miami Dolphins to win the Super Bowl.
Gosh. Even with Ramsey injured?
We'll get into it.
Okay.
It's already a bold
Kai.
take to pick them to win the division at this point, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nice pick.
Duval.
I like that pick, but that's not my pick.
Yeah, we'll get into it for sure.
Joey.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to exceed expectations, potentially even make the conference championship. I don't think
don't-
they'll
I
don't
make the
mind that.
Super Bowl, but I think they can make a deep playoff run, even
I
win
don't
the
mind that.
division.
I don't mind that.
Joey, does this have anything to do with you being a Steelers fan, allegedly?
I was gonna say it seems
I-
like everybody just picked their home team here.
Where'd you hear that from?
I don't know. I have sources.
That's you better check those.
All right, I'll check those.
Check your sources, bro.
Who wants to go first? Who wants to get grilled first? Shep, I would absolutely love nothing more than to hear you talk about your Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, my Atlanta Falcons. Coming from a Carolina Panthers fan, it hurt me to make this pick. However, I picked the Atlanta Falcons to make a deep playoff run for a couple of different reasons. So let's start with number one, offseason acquisitions. Okay. They built up their defense with the additions of Jesse Bates, Calais Campbell, Trey Flowers, Bud Dupree. And they also traded for like Jeff Okuda. So what was a huge weakness for them last season, they did somewhat improve. I really like the Jesse Bates signing. Calais Campbell's getting up there in age, but I think overall it is an improved defense. And then let's go to the offensive side. At the 8th overall pick, they selected Bijan Robinson. Now, this was already a team that knew how to run the ball last year, and now you put Bijan behind that offensive line. I mean, I seriously think he could be. He's already coming into the league as a top 5 back, in my opinion, and I think he could easily be a let alone offensive rookie of the year candidate, maybe an offensive player of the year candidate behind that offensive line, and with how much they run the ball. And then let's look at Desmond Ridder, right? I'm not saying that he's going to be good, but all I'm saying is that whenever you put him with that offensive line and with Kyle Pitts and with Drake London, all he has to do is be serviceable. All he has to do is be serviceable with those weapons. He's got Bijan behind him. He's got Algier behind him. He has to be serviceable with those weapons. And I can see this team making a deep run because of reason number 2.
Oh,
their division sucks. All right. As a Panthers fan, right? This isn't our year. Personally, we're still rebuilding, right?
Bryce is so good, though.
We can say that Thielen, we can say that, Shark or, Miles Sanders, that's not going to, make us anything special. They're temporary fixes for long-term problems. The only long-term solution Carolina has right now is at the quarterback position with Bryce Young. Now that defense, it's still young and it's going to be pretty solid next year, but Atlanta's still going to be able to run the ball down their throat. Okay. And now move on to New Orleans. What is going on there? Derek Carr.
They have Olave.
But then you look at the other weapons. Alvin Kamara, inconsistent. Michael Thomas, who knows what he's doing?
Ouch.
I'm telling you, New Orleans lacks the coaching and it has an aging defense. They're not gonna. I don't see them. I see them coming in second in this division this year, but I think Atlanta still surpasses them. And then let's go to Tampa Bay. If I was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, I would unsubscribe from NFL Sunday Ticket.
Speaking of which, what's wrong with Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay. Behind what arm? Baker Mayfield?
Kyle Trask.
Baker Mayfield has led a team to
Christos. Don't do this, man.
Did you watch a game of Baker Mayfield last season? That is painful. I watched
him lead a 50-second comeback win with the Rams.
Well, with Los Angeles, dude.
That was
in what, garbage time?
That was a fantastic one drive by Baker Mayfield last year. You're right, Chris.
Guys, we are not talking about Shep's Baker Mayfield take. We are talking about Shep's Atlanta Falcons take.
Falcons.
That's a whole different story.
They are winning
let's
that
talk
division,
about.
right?
Okay, let's talk about the Falcons.
They
were ranked the 31st best offense last year.
The 31st best offense. Look at the rushing numbers. They ran the ball more than anyone else in the league.
No.
And
I agree with you. They have a good rushing attack, but
it clearly didn't
Super
work.
Bowl winning team hasn't had a good passing offense the past 5 years.
I'd push back on that a little bit. I think it's definitely more run heavy, but to Shep's point, I'll give him the defense. I like that defense a lot. Those acquisitions they made. It's just, I think there's too many questions on offense. Desmond Ridder, I'm not quite sure what you're going to get with that. I think there's too many question marks around there. And then same thing with Bijan Robinson. It could be a home run hit in the draft, but
I think I like Shep's highness on Bijan. I really like Bijan. I think he's disgusting from the videos and training and stuff. My issue is with you sort of saying that their defense is the only thing that's improved. I think that in order for them to actually be good, a defense is only good when they're playing in spurts. If their defense is on the whole time and their offense can't stay on the field, I don't care. I don't care if you have, the '07 Ravens defense. You're still going to get tired, and you're still not going to be the best team that you can be. So I'd like to hear a little more about the offense.
I think running the football is going to slow the game down a little bit and keep the defense off the field. I think that the offense will play slower because they're running so much, because they're relying so much on Bijan, because they're relying so much on Cordell Patterson, because they're relying so much on Tyler Algier. They're relying on these types of weapons and these short, 4 to 5 yard runs on every single down set. I mean, I think that they can, eat up a lot of clock. That's why I'm so high on this offense when paired with this defense, because I think that the offense can keep the defense off the field, and which will lead to some hell games. I mean, like, dude, you're barely going to be able to watch this team at times because of how much they run the ball.
Football.
It's ugly
AFC
football,
North
but
football.
Exactly. But I think it's their recipe to win the NFC South, and who knows what'll happen in the playoffs too. I mean, when you look at the quarterbacks around the NFC, I mean, you got Jalen Hurts, and then there's a massive gap, in my opinion. There's a massive gap.
I don't mind this big. I just think like your Panthers, they might be 1 year away. If you know what I'm saying. I still think this is Tampa Bay's division to lose, even with Baker.
Whoa, what in the
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
They still
What?
have
Goodness.
championship
Have you seen the
defense.
training camp videos,
Oh
dude?
Chris
my
Godwin,
goodness.
Mike Evans.
Baker can't hit the side of a barn.
Dude.
Come
Whoa.
on. That's
I still
heinous.
think the
All right,
the
I'm not
Buccaneers.
hating on Tampa Bay's weapons, right? I think White's good. I think, Mike Evans is phenomenal. I think Chris Godwin is phenomenal. But the quarterback is a huge question mark for Tampa Bay. And then on the defensive side, they're aging. They have a
They are
solid
aging.
secondary with Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. But if one of those guys gets injured, they have no depth
Nope.
whatsoever.
Nope.
There is nobody on that defense that is, if one of those guys goes out, they're done. They are done for.
And they don't
And
they
the
don't have
past
like a
two
Well, like,
seasons.
You talk about like question mark at the quarterback position, but look at Desmond Ridder. He's only played 4 games.
I mean,
Like,
that's true.
He's a
But-
huge question mark.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
I
come
would
to the
take-
defensive ship here because I think that while Desmond Ritter is a question mark, his argument is not that Desmond Ritter is going to be the savior. His argument is that
by no means. I'm saying
can't
that the
make the
Atlanta
playoffs.
Falcons will win the division and make a playoff run despite Desmond Ritter.
I like
That's
that
an
the
interesting
most.
take.
I think that the Atlanta Falcons actually do have a shot to win their division, but where the issue comes is I don't think they have what it takes to make a run in the playoffs, like at all.
Let's say, okay, so they get a divisional spot, right? What are the potential wild card teams that they could play?
Oh.
We're looking at Dallas. We're looking at New York. We're looking at somebody from the north, either Detroit or Minnesota. We're looking at teams like that.
I mean, I'd argue not. I'd
You're
argue
looking,
the
you're
Packers,
looking at
but-
maybe the Rams or the Niners or the Seahawks.
Rams, Niners, or Seahawks. Niners are going to win their division.
Yeah, so probably
But-
Rams.
It definitely, I could see the Rams, and I could also see the Seahawks. Now, I'm not shaking in my boots over a matchup against Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. I'm not shaking over Dak Prescott in the playoffs. I'm not shaking over Geno Smith in the playoffs. I'm just saying that the talent within the NFC is kind of down right now. Which
Also,
is why
if you
Right.
make the playoffs, anything can happen any given Sunday.
Exactly. And just coming from a team that will have that consistent ground game, they won't have to really rely on Desmond Ritter, but these teams are going to have to rely on Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, guys who don't have a lot of experience in winning playoff football games.
All right. Speaking of not winning playoff football games, Chris, can you tell us about the Miami Dolphins?
Excuse me?
Damn.
Chris, may you tell us about your Miami Dolphins?
Thank you. First of all, I'm gonna go.
That
on a
was
little
such a
rant.
good transition. What
Yeah,
the
that
I'm
was
hell?
gonna,
really
I'm
good.
gonna
my
go on a little
gosh.
rant. Listen,
Let's hear it.
how are the Miami Dolphins projected to finish 3rd in their division? Please
Because the
explain to me.
Jets- Because the Jets have one of the best defenses in the league.
Okay.
They have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They have the rookie of the year, and the Bills are the Bills. And you guys are
we
third
we
best.
almost beat the Bills in the playoffs with Skylar Thompson under center.
I think
wanna
there's an
hear it.
argument to be made that the Dolphins are going to be better than the Jets, but I don't understand how you could say that the Dolphins are going to be
Okay.
better than the Bills this year.
Okay. Let's talk about the Bills. So we split the series last year. We won in Miami. We lost in Buffalo in a stupid snow game where their fans were throwing snow at our players. Let's not talk about that. And then in the playoffs, we have Skylar Thompson, and we lose 31-34 against a stacked Bills team.
You know the Bills underplayed.
That's
like
such a
anyone can tell
how
you
is that
that
our
the Bills
fault?
underplayed. That's not your fault, but
And
I'm
then
saying
they
that it's
lost
not
the
going to happen
Bengals
twice
in
in
the
a
next
row.
round.
It's not happening twice in a row.
Anyways, let me get into the Dolphins team right now. So we just hired Vic Fangio. He's been known for his elite zone defense. He's been causing trouble around the NFL for years now. And
Phenomenal
I
defensive
think
mind.
he has the personnel to succeed. We have Xavier Howard, Kaden Kohu. We had Jalen Ramsey. He's going to be back in December, but for right now, we have Cam Smith, our rookie, replacing him. Emmanuel Ogba, Christian Wilkins, Jerome Baker, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, Brandon Jones. This defense is built to win. Training camp reports are saying how the defense is destroying and already elite 30 points per game offense. Now, let's talk about the offense. We got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Chosen Anderson. We have Braxton Berrios.
You did not just say, you did not just say Chosen Anderson
We
was
just
a
drafted
weapon.
an
That's
elite
not a real player.
fast running back.
Willie Cauley-Stein?
Oh, Devin Acne? Or is that his name?
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
He's and then I'm hearing some reports.
Oh my
Dalvin
gosh.
Cook
Don't do this,
may be
man.
coming to Miami. He may be coming to him. He's on a
I
flight
heard a
right
report
now.
he was going to the Jets.
We'll see. Anyways,
Okay.
Chris,
My-
I
last
I
year,
liked your take with the Dolphins defense. I think they're going to be massively improved from last season. I think Banjo is a huge addition, and I really like where they're going with Javon Holland. And Xavier Howard might be a little bit, washed up a little bit, but it's whatever. I like their defense this year. However, the offensive side of the football just has too many question marks for me.
you gotta
I
be kidding
agree.
me. We got the best wide receiver duo in the league. Easy.
You did
Tyreek
not
Hill and
even
Jalen Waddle.
mention the elephant in the room.
Who, Tua?
Tua?
Yes, you
We
did
were
not
8
say
and-
the
we
word
were
Tua
8
in your
and 4.
positive speech.
Because
once.
he's spooked.
We
He
were
knows
8 and
they're gonna
4
hold him back.
last year
Yeah.
with him and 2-3 without him.
Tell me about Tua.
Well, all the reports that I'm seeing is that doctors have cleared him play. He's been spending his entire summer learning how to take hits, which I know it's kind of late for a quarterback, but he's been learning how to do it. And look, he has a great arm, and we just signed a pretty serviceable backup in Mike White.
Chris,
So, I mean,
here's the thing. While that may be true, he can't untake the hits that he's already taken.
Mm,
Those
I agree.
take a
Exactly.
toll
I
on your body
understand.
and your brain.
and he might be 1 or 2 big hits from retiring. I totally get that.
I know
But
people make a lot of memes about it, and it's not funny. His health is a real concern. Like,
our
It is
kind of
funny.
building. We still have Armstead, Connor Williams, Austin Jackson's getting better. Like this team is ready to take the next step. Mike McDaniel is in his second year now. He went through all the coaching mistakes that coaches make early on. I think.
I mean,
this
I
is
think
the
I
year.
think you're glossing over that like a little bit much.
I mean, he's an offensive genius. He doesn't need the best quarterback under center. Tua's above average for sure.
I mean, the second half
Like-
of the Dolphins season last year, and to your credit, your talent is there. The Dolphins' talent is absolutely there. I mean, there's no better wide receiver duo than Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But what I will say is that I think you're giving the coach a bit of a pass way too easily with how he had those exact same weapons last season, and he still barely scraped to the playoffs.
Well,
Barely.
he didn't have his starting quarterback, and he almost won with his third string quarterback. Like Mike McDaniel is a genius. I think the Dolphins have a very realistic shot of winning the division, and then who knows what can happen after that.
I don't, and a big reason is their schedule. They have a really difficult schedule.
So does
they're
everyone else
playing-
in the division, though, and the
Well,
Jets are an unproven team. We've gone through 1 year of like chemistry and meshing. The Jets are gonna have to figure that out early on. They might have a slow start. I think they're gonna make the playoffs, but there's no way they finish above us.
I mean, you can't take away the talent from the Dolphins, but I will say that there are a lot of not guarantees, especially because you guys are so young. There is no one that has sort of playoff experience on the Dolphins. You know, all jokes aside from you guys not being a very good franchise, I mean, you guys just don't have the veterans to lead you to the promised land.
Also, how many more times is Tyreek Hill going to assault someone before they finally arrest him? And there's your season right there.
That's
Yeah.
funny. No, you're not wrong, but
All right, Joey, if you're being so nippy, why don't you tell us about your pick?
Oh boy. All right. So
Here we
yes,
go.
my pick is the Steelers.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna start with the defense. Most consistent defense in the last 20 years, probably.
Mike
Obviously,
Tomlin's good.
best safety in the NFL in Minka. You got two experienced safeties right next to him, DeMonte Casey and Keanu Neal, who will probably split reps at that strong safety position. Cornerback is very questionable. Very questionable.
Pat P, baby.
You got an old Patrick
Happy like
Peterson.
36.
You got a really old Patrick Peterson, who I think is still solid. And then
Career renaissance.
exactly. And then a rookie, Joey Porter Jr., who I was just watching clips of today, get absolutely dusted by George Pickens, but he'll have time to settle in.
The draft.
He'll have time to settle in. And also, this is the Steelers unit, a cornerback unit that last year also people were like, it's subpar. And we ended up leading the league in interceptions last year.
Well,
So-
I mean, the Steelers'
Yeah.
defense is obviously
It's
amazing.
I can't lie. I'm looking at that depth chart right now. That's a stacked defense.
Yeah.
They're gonna cause some
Linebacker,
problem.
Linebacker, they lost Miles Shack and Robert Spillane, but got a Landon Roberts from the Dolphins, who's very solid. Cole Holcomb from the Commanders, who had, before getting injured last year, had 69 tackles in 7 games.
Wow.
So
impressive.
You know
There's a
what I'm
couple-
noticing with this whole segment?
what?
Everyone is just kind of glossing over the issues because you have not mentioned.
Oh, I'm
the
going to talk about.
offense.
Oh, I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
That's why I'm starting with
All
the
right,
defense.
let him get into it. Let him get
That's
into
why I'm starting with the defense. Yeah, defensive line, obviously top 5 in the NFL. TJ Watt. The Steelers are 1-10 in TJ Watt's career with him not on the football field, so him staying healthy is a priority. Alex Highsmith had 14.5 sacks last year. In my opinion, the most underrated defensive player in the NFL, and he just got paid. Much deserving.
Good player.
So yeah, all in all, the defense is going to be just as good as it has been in years past, if not better. Should be no issues there. Still a top 10 unit in the NFL, maybe even top 5. Yeah, obviously, Michael, you mentioned the offense.
Did I?
O-line will be improved. We just drafted Broderick Jones. And you want to know how many sacks he gave up last year in 933 snaps at Georgia? I'll let you guess.
10.
0.
There you go, Kai.
You're smarter than me, Kai.
Najee,
Yeah.
poised for a bounce back year after having a little bit of a rough year last year. But I'm obviously a little concerned about that. He's shown to be inconsistent, but there's that. Wide receiver.
Pretty good at getting 2 yards per carry, but
Oh, yeah, he is. Oh,
Well,
well.
won't cut it, especially when you can replace running backs. Check
Wow.
out our
Right.
episode 1
That's true.
segments for that.
shameless
Or
plug.
why? Yes.
Yeah, what do we think about the wide receivers here? This is an
Oh, I
interesting
love them.
group we got here.
Whoa.
I love them so
It's a
much.
good group.
So
It's a good
underrated.
group.
I think Deontay and George Pickens complement each other well, because whatever Deontay can't catch, George Pickens can. I mean, yeah, Deontay's quick, runs routes well. George Pickens, one of the best contested catchers in the league. And then Allen Robinson, probably not going to put up huge numbers, but he's a good veteran presence and a good third option to have. He is.
He will be good for George Pickens for sure.
Yeah, if we just drafted Darnell Washington too out of Georgia.
I'm gonna tell you right now, he's not gonna pan out in the NFL. He's too slow and clunky. He
Oh,
maybe
We
maybe
got our
he'll
college
Did
specialist.
you
say
sitting
too
on your
slow and
prospect.
clunky?
yes.
Throw him
He's
on.
gonna be a good
throw him on
blocker.
O-line then, bro. That guy is huge, dog.
There you go. He's not catching balls.
That's true,
say
but
that.
he's a really good. He blocks like an offensive
Yeah,
lineman.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
And now for who you've been waiting for, Kenny Pickett. Obviously struggled mightily in the first half of last year. He threw 8 interceptions in his first 5 games. And then in his final 8 games, he threw 1. And in his final 8 games, only 3 quarterbacks had a higher PFF passer rating than Kenny Pickett.
Woo.
And we pulling out PFF stats.
Wow.
Four
just wait for
game-winning
me.
drives
Just wait
last
for
year
me.
as
Pulling
well.
up PFF stats, then why did you guys
Oh,
end up with a 29th best offense?
Joey, can you PFF stat
I'll get to that.
the least
I'll get to that.
passing touchdowns in 2022?
No.
How many passing touchdowns over 80 yards did you guys have?
Probably like 3. How many touchdowns did we score as an offense last year?
Probably
Like
that
5?
number's low.
Maybe 5. But yeah, Kenny Pickett looked really comfortable in the second half of last year, and I could see he's a lot more confident and a lot more. He's got NFL experience now, and I think he will make a big jump in year 2. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but I think he might be able to get there. I think he's going to show a lot of improvement, and he's going to be a solid starter.
I like this pick.
Now, for a guy who I haven't mentioned yet, who will make or break this team, the only possible person holding us back from our full potential is Matt Canada. The fact that he is still employed on this team is beyond comprehension. I don't know what kind of blackmail he has against Mike Tomlin or the Steelers organization, but it has to be criminal in order for them to let him keep the job.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch Urinating Tree. Shout out Urinating Tree, but he hates Matt Canada, and he is
I mean,
Steelers fan.
it like first down. What should we do? We'll do a split zone to the right. All right, now it's 2nd and long. What do you think we should do? Maybe a play action, maybe a little screen pass to open up the middle of the field. No, we're gonna run another split zone right to the right side, all right? And now it's 3rd and long against an NFL defense with a rookie quarterback that knows we're gonna throw the football. He's so stubborn too. He will see defenses adjust to his schemes, and he won't do anything about it. He'll stick to his playbook.
That's your OC, baby.
Like, do teams really think we're going to throw the football when Gunnar Olszewski and Miles Boykin check into the game? Change up the personnel every once in a while.
I will say I like the Steelers to make the playoffs. Maybe. I think the Browns are going to finish above them in the division. I think Deshaun's going to accustom himself a little bit better to the league, and I do think that the Steelers have a shot at being better than the Ravens for reasons that we'll get into in the next segment. But yeah, I like it. I like it overall.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
think.
Yeah, just real quick. I think that
there's no
that
way
division's
you guys,
really tough.
that division is probably
They're just gonna beat
best
each
in
other up.
football.
We're going to finish above the Browns, and I think we can finish above the Ravens.
I agree with Joey. I think that they have a shot at finishing above the Ravens.
We are going to finish above the
Ravens.
Browns. I'm
only
telling
got
you that
better.
right
Okay,
now.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I don't know about. I think Cleveland's due for a big year.
I agree.
I'm with you there.
I think Cleveland's due for a big
They
year.
also have been for the last 3 years.
I think
Joey,
Steelers-
we don't want to bring up the 2019 playoffs.
Yeah,
Or
we
what
don't
was it?
actually. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, let's not do that.
But we're not going to do that. We're not
Down
delving into this
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
toxicity.
no.
Um,
All in all, I think Matt Canada makes or breaks this team. There are reports that Kenny Pickett finally has some input on the playbook. Maybe that'll help. If Matt Canada shows creativity and can get more of our guys involved than just Najee Harris, I think we can be a really good offense. And if not, then we'll go 9-8.
the good thing about the Steelers is you guys have an easy schedule.
Yeah, we do.
Outside of the division.
Yeah, we play the AFC South and the NFC West, two bottom divisions in the NFL.
not great. Not great. Kai, tell me
Yeah.
about your Jacksonville Jaguars. Not yours. You have no allegiances, but
Yeah.
you did pick them for this segment. Tell me
Yeah,
about them.
let's get into it. So, first of all, their head man, Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach. He's been there before, disciple of Andy Reid. So we like that. And then at quarterback, of
We
course,
do like that.
we got Trevor Lawrence, national champion in college, state champion
like
in high
that.
school, a proven winner.
We bringing
Right.
up high school stats now?
Well, I'm just saying he's a winner.
He had that
He's a
one
winner.
stat where he never lost,
Lost on a
like
Friday,
ever.
Yeah, the amount of times ESPN has posted that
Yeah.
stat was ridiculous, man. And then they everybody was freaking out whenever he was about to lose to Los Angeles in the playoffs. They're like, "This will be
Yeah.
his first game lost." Oh,
No, but besides that, just looking at their schedule, and we'll get into the offense and defense after this, but I just kind of want to look at it more holistically. Their schedule's tough. I'm not going to shy away from that. They have to play the Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, Niners, like you said, AFC North.
What?
That's gonna be tough. But the good thing for them is a lot of those games are at home. So yeah, Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, Niners at home. They have Bills, Steelers, Browns, Saints away.
That's brutal.
So that's going to be
Man,
tough.
I
but
did not know that they had such a tough
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah, it's rough. But the good thing is they will be battle tested come playoff time. So if they do make it to the playoffs, which I think they will, just considering their division is one of the weaker divisions in football, they'll have that experience for sure. Looking more in depth at the offensive side of the ball, T-Law has another year of experience under his belt. He has that playoff experience, getting that win from down 27-0. And then I really like their weapons that they have. I'm a big fan of Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, and then you have Calvin Ridley coming back off that suspension, and ETN in the backfield, who was an 1,000-yard rusher when only being the starting running back for, I believe, 13 or 14 games after they traded James Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the defensive side of the ball, that's one of my only concerns. They were kind of middle of the pack towards the bottom of the league in terms of points per game allowed and yards per game allowed. So we'd like to see some improvement there. One thing I noticed was they didn't really make a whole lot of moves in this off season. So
Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was last one.
He
was
bet on
there.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
right.
just chilling. He was just chilling.
Yeah. So they bring
Probably
back
on
their
FanDuel.
Yeah, 100%. But they do bring back their defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell, who was Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So he has that experience too. So I think they showed flashes, especially towards the end of last year, going on that winning streak to make the playoffs. I think they're going to lose week 1 to the Colts. That's my hot take. But that schedule's brutal. If they can,
That's rough.
If they can stay above 500 and win that division, they might have to. They're probably not going to get that bye, but I think they're going to be in a good position to compete or to be in the playoffs and compete for a Super Bowl this year. So
they go 6-11, they'll win the division.
Here, let me give you
they are in a terrible. They got to win most of those games, like the vast majority.
Realistically, I think the Titans are the only team in that division that'll give them a run. But I'm not sure I'm sold on what they have going on over there.
Let me
I
just
don't
give
even
you
think the
2 quick
Titans have
things
it in them.
real quick.
Yeah, what's up, Chris?
I agree. They're gonna win the division. Like they're gonna make the playoffs, and who knows what happens. Their problem is their defense. Like we've been talking about the offense being a problem in the rest of the teams.
I'm with you.
This team, it's the defense. Like I have a couple stats. They were ranked 28th versus the pass and 26th in sacks.
Yeah.
If you can't get after Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert,
that's true.
Tua,
that's gonna be a big thing for them.
Don't throw Tua in there,
you
man.
try to sneak Tua.
That's nuts, man. Like don't do that.
And then the second thing, there's no star power in that defense. Like,
I think you got
just no guy that's gonna make a play.
I think Josh Allen can take a leap.
Or you need Trayvon Walker to step up. You need Trayvon Walker to step up big time.
100%. That's your number 1 overall pick. You need to see a little more production there.
I talk about a guy that can become a playmaker, though.
Yeah. So, like I said, they didn't really make any moves. So I think you can look at that both ways. You could say, hey, this team's going to be better because they have a little more chemistry. Or you could say, oh, well, they didn't bring anybody else in. So how are they supposed to improve? So I think it's one of those things where they're going to rely on the offense and they just need the defense to get them some stops. But, when it comes to those playoff games, you're really going to need your defense to step up. I think if you look at a majority of the Super Bowl winners in the past, they've all been very defensively dominant. So, yeah, that's what we have there on the Jags.
Well, it seems like we're left with one and probably the best pick of the lot. We've got the Green Bay Packers making a playoff run. So allow me to paint you a picture, guys. The picture starts with a good foundation at the defense, right? Last season, we ranked 17th in all major defensive categories. Not great. Definitely very middling. But I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why that's going to change. First, we have Kenny Clark, our defensive leader two-time Pro Bowler with 4 sacks, 10 QB hits, 53 contributions to a tackle last year, and finished just outside the top 10 with, I will say, not a very good defensive line to help him, just outside the top 10 with 45 pressures. Very solid player. That's not debatable. Kenny Clark is a presence. He's a veteran, very good at what he does. Second, we've got our first overall pick last year at the draft. We've got Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. Huge dude, man. He is absolutely amazing at what he does. Huge D lineman aside Kenny Clark. He had limited playing time last year. And this year he's going to take a huge role. It was due to injuries. It was due to recuperations. Maybe the coach didn't think he was ready for it. But he has first-round talent, and this is going to be the year where he steps up. He can showcase his first-round talent to everyone around him, and we can have a very, very good D-line. Third, we have Rashawn Gary, who is one of the most underrated defensive players in the league. According to Pro Football Focus, Gary has the third highest pass rush win rate among edge defenders since 2020. Only Myles Garrett and TJ Watt have a better pass rush win rate than Rashawn Gary's 21.8%. Last year, get ready for this, guys. Last year, Rashawn Gary tore his ACL week 9, right? He played 9 games. Less than 9 because he tore it in 9. He had 6 sacks and 12 QB hits in 9 games played. And people are sleeping on him because he got injured halfway through the season. I mean, he is absolutely a force to be reckoned with, and he can be the cornerstone of our defense. That's not even addressing the real couple of cornerstones on our defense. We've got our first-round pick this year, Lucas Van Ness, extremely high potential compared to TJ Watt because of his athleticism. I mean, you see him on some training videos. He absolutely bitched the first offensive lineman taken in the draft. He is absolutely phenomenal, and his ceiling is through the roof. That's not even addressing on our strongest part, which is, of course, our secondary, where we have Jair Alexander, the best cornerback in the NFL. We have Rasul Douglas. We have Eric Stokes. 2 young guys hungry for a chance, ready to, ball hawk the ball, get interceptions. Both of these guys get interceptions for fun. I think that we're going to see both of those guys step up. We're going to see Jair solidify himself as the number 1 cornerback in the NFL. We're going to have a top 5 unit in the NFL. That is going to be our foundation. But
I
like
think
Shep said,
that defense is solid. I'm not sure I agree with you
wanna
there
hear
on
you
Eric
talk about your
Stokes.
offense.
I
let's hear about
know
that.
Kenny Clark's going to be good. Wyatt and Gary have potential, and the secondary is great. But that's not
Tell
what
us
I'm
the
worried about with
offense.
the pack.
guys,
Tell us
I'm
about
getting to it. So I'm painting you a picture, remember? That was the foundation. We can agree we got a solid foundation. So our defense is talented. If only we had a good run game. Like 2 running backs that were good to keep our defense rested for long periods of time and be able to make plays, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be real effective against 9 players in the box.
Who are the guys that are in my? Oh, right. We have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who both received top 5 rushing grades at 90.7 PFF and 88.1 PFF, respectively, making them easily head and shoulders the best running back duo in the NFL. Add to that the high boom potential for our young receivers in Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and Samari Toure, who has impressed in camp, and a first-round talent in Kyle Musgrave at tight end, and our third-round talent, Tucker Kraft, 2-headed tight ends, 2-headed backfield. It becomes evident what kind of football we're going to play. We're going to play a very hard-nosed, defensive-oriented, ground-and-pound brand of football, but I think that we're going to do it great, and we can win the division.
Yeah, I have a couple of things to say. I could not be further from you on this take, if I'm being honest. And okay. I think tell me, Joe. The Packers might not win 6 games this year.
Okay, wow. I think the floor is low, but
I'll tell you why.
High.
Michael, can you tell me one single player the Packers signed in free agency? Just one.
Our guys are so young, dude.
Okay.
Listen, if you count our rookies, we've signed some really talented rookies, better than most free agents.
because young guys really correlates to Super Bowl wins, right? You know,
Okay, I didn't
just
say
like
we're going to win the
rookies.
Super Bowl. I think that we can make the playoffs.
You lost Alan Lazard, Adrian Amos,
Oh.
Robert Tunyon,
Randall Cobb,
Randall Cobb.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Guys,
Yeah.
Here's the
All
thing,
right.
Michael. I think the Packers will be a bottom 3 offense in the NFL next year. I don't
Okay.
think Jordan Love
That's
is just being
ridiculous.
thrust into the starting quarterback position.
He is
He's
not being
not gonna
thrust. He's had 3 years to develop. 3 years. He's
Yeah.
shown glimpses. He's been good at training camp, and we have young guys, man. Just I agree. The floor is low. The floor is very low. But I think
It's
that
basement level.
people are sleeping on us. People are definitely
I'm
sleeping
fast
on the
asleep
talent
right
we've
now.
got.
So
People are sleeping on the talent we have. We have first round talent all around the field.
I think you
problem-
lace that take with melatonin because I'm like sound asleep on me.
That makes
Like,
no sense. You picked the Falcons.
It's a better pick than the Packers.
No, it's
yo.
not.
It is. It is. It is.
No.
bro. It is.
No.
Oh my god.
The
You
The
know what?
problem.
defense is fine. The defense is fine.
Yeah.
It's just the offense is the biggest question mark.
I just
I
said
have
we had the
ever
best
seen.
running back duo in the NFL.
So I agree with you
Against-
there. I agree with you there,
Listen-
but I
Thank
think
you,
it's
Kai.
it's gonna. But listen, it's gonna become very predictable what they're gonna do. I think
Sure.
Joey said it. They're gonna stack the box. They have the talent, like you said, but there's so many question marks. Romeo Dobbs showed some flashes, but
Don't talk
I mean,
about. There's a reason why I
Jaden
didn't mention
Reed-
Romeo Dubs.
What's up?
There's a reason why I didn't mention him.
Yeah,
He's not
I mean,
good.
All right, listen.
Uh,
the
my-
problem-
I-
I just
the
don't
question-
see who he's gonna throw the ball to consistently.
Here's the
Also,
problem.
I think the question is
Watson?
Jordan Love has been behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Yes. Is
Absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers a mentor to him? Probably
Yes.
No.
not. He was
sent
pissed
him-
off that they
Whoa.
drafted Jordan Love.
He was pissed off because that was when
I-
he just
I
came
don't
off
think
of like
Aaron
a great
Rodgers taught him a
season.
lot. I think he didn't like
Rodgers
him.
was obsessed with the spotlight, man. You think he gave any attention to Love? No,
Mhm.
I know.
I think
And-
I think
and
that
while
on
Jordan
the
Love-
training field, he mentored Love. And guys, the locker room is behind Jordan Love. I mean, that just speaks volumes. Everyone loves Jordan Love. People are willing to run through walls for him. I think that he's not gonna be the best quarterback. He's not gonna be the best quarterback in the division. In fact, he might be the worst quarterback in the division this season. But I don't think that's where our offensive strength is gonna lie this season.
The problem when you lose someone as great as Rodgers is that everything that was done by the team becomes a question. We don't know if LaFleur is good or it was just Rodgers. We don't
I was
know.
I
that.
was gonna say that
We
too.
don't know.
I'm not
that's
too
a
how
high
fair-
on
good-
him.
It's a fair
How
point.
good
It's a
is
fair
Dobbs?
point.
How good is Watson? Like I love Watson personally, but like how good are they really, or was it Rodgers?
Well, I
How-
think that I've presented reasons why I think they will be good. But I will agree with Joey in saying that our floor is also very low. I can say that.
I respect your take also
Yeah.
because it's very rare that a quarterback starts and just instantly starts producing and knows what he's doing. I don't think that's going to be Jordan Love, but maybe he'll develop towards the second half of the year and they can win some football games.
A lot of new things going on with the Packers. So a lot of potential and a lot of reverse potential. Also
I
known
do
as
love how the locker
disappointment.
room loves Jordan Love. That's
It's
huge.
true. It's true. You
It's
don't see that in
admirable,
every
yeah.
You do not see that in every locker room. I will
The
say
locker
that.
room
Especially
needs
with
to
the
love your
guy who
quarterback.
hasn't, started a season as a starter. The locker room's already behind him, and that's admirable. So
That's
I really
very
like that.
impressive.
All right. Let's move on to a little bit of fantasy football. For this segment, we are each going to pick one player that is overrated in fantasy, one player that is underrated in fantasy. Kai, why don't you go first?
Yeah, man. So I know you guys know who I'm going to say, and it's a little bit controversial. And this is not a knock on this player. I just
It's
think
crazy.
just purely from a value perspective, where you can get him in the draft, I don't like him. But so I'm going with Derrick Henry as overrated.
Wow.
So here's the background. So he's turning 30 this year. Right. He's getting old. There's a lot of tread on those tires. He's been that bell cow for a while now, since 2016, I believe. So I think this might be a year where he hits the wall. You got greater risk of injury, and not quite what he used to be. I think also if you look at this O-line, they lost 3 guys from last year, and the guys who you got to fill those positions were 2 career backup linemen and a rookie. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to pan out. Right now, his ADP is 21, and he's running back number 8. So if you look at the guys who are going after him, it's Ramondre Stevenson, Brees Hall, ETN, and Najee. And those are all guys who I think you can definitely get later on if you're needing a good running back or RB2. So yeah, that's what I have him there. I think obviously if he falls to the right spot, I have no issue with getting him, but I think just at that ADP of 21, I think there's some other options there that you can go with. So that's what I have there. Do you want to go all around and say everybody's overrated, or should I go ahead and go with my underrated as well?
Why don't you say you're
Yeah,
underrated?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So my underrated guy is going to be Damian Pierce, and I'm not going to lie, this is a
Love
little bit
that.
there's a little bit of a homer pick since he went to UF, but last year in only 13 games he hit 1,000 yards, averaged 17 carries a game, volumes there. And his ADP right now is 46. So I think if you look at guys in front of him, you have Aaron Jones, Gibbs, and Walker of the Seahawks. So I think this is a spot where if some guys like that fall to you, you can go ahead and wait and pick Damian Pierce there. I just think the upside is so big that it's worth a shot. I think the downside is very low. I know that they brought in another running back. I think Singletary, I want to say. So he might not have that like clear cut all the touches he got last year, but I think just purely based on upside, I think it's worth a pick there. So
I like it. I will say, yeah, Pierce, he's so efficient with his touches. I mean, he's an angry runner.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I love that clip of him against Florida State where his helmet falls off and he keeps running, even though he got the penalty.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's great.
That's gorgeous.
He was
Well,
different.
I do understand your reasoning behind the Derrick Henry pick, Kai, but he hasn't really shown signs of slowing down.
That's
So I'm
completely
not
fair. That's
entirely
completely
buying
fair.
it.
People
Yeah.
say he's gonna slow down every year. And
That's
he just
true.
hasn't.
Yep.
I also think what discredits Kai a little bit is that his ADP is not like insane. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the more fair ones, but if he gets injured, obviously his ADP would be terrible because he
Yeah.
wouldn't produce. But yeah.
I think Henry's going about where he needs to be right now. And until he proves
Yeah.
otherwise, I think it's a fine pick.
Yeah, so in conclusion, Kai, we don't like it. Anyways, Christos,
I'll live with it.
I
I'll live with
I
it.
hope you can do better. No, I'm kidding. I love you, Kai.
Much love.
Okay. So for my overrated player, I have DeAndre Hopkins. And let me explain why.
Wow.
One, he's getting up there in age. He's been missing some games the past few years. And he's ranked as the wide receiver 22 right now, in the same tier as Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Debo Samuel, and DJ Moore. I know who I would rather have. Now, the thing that really concerns me about him and his ADP is that in Tennessee, receivers tend to rotate a lot just because of how run heavy they are. I think I saw a stat that AJ Brown had like the highest like snap share on the team when he was like popping. It was like 88%. And the drop off after him is like huge. And I think that Traylon Burks is going to take that next step, have a higher snap share and all that. Now, I think he's going to be a good player for them, just not a good fantasy player. Like, it's important to distinguish between those two because there's not going to be enough volume. You have Burks, who looks amazing in training camp, O'Connor with a tight end, and this slot guy, Phillips, that they just got. Again, he's a good player, but his ADP is that little wide receiver dead zone where there's not that many good options.
Not a lot
you
of
can
talent.
draft like Mixon or Alexander Madison or Swift. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's
I mean, I see your point. Yeah.
so that's D-Hop. For my underrated pick, I have Christian Watson.
What a pick.
I mean,
Wow.
he's the only one that has shown any chemistry with Jordan Love going back to last year. I think he's going in the end of the 6th round right now, and he has a potential to be the best receiver on a team that's gonna probably be down a lot. No offense. So he's gonna get that volume. He's a good wide receiver too. I feel like for the 6th round, that's a good spot to get him.
Really like it. I mean, putting aside everything, I think that him going at the beginning of the 6th is a little outrageous.
Yeah.
He's the clear-cut wide receiver 1 on this
And
team. So
I didn't know this till I did some research, but like the reason he had a slow start last year was because he had some nagging injuries. So then after I think it was like week 8, he completely turned it around.
yeah.
I think he
I mean,
scored
he's a
7
touchdown merchant.
touchdowns.
He's a touchdown
That's-
merchant.
Yeah, I mean, and also second-year guy. We know that wide receivers take that next step in year 2.
Love that.
I love him.
That's sound logic. I sound like a total like dick, but like I mean like I agree with him. Does anyone have anything else to say about Christian Watson?
Or D-Hub.
I think it's solid picks.
All right.
Yeah,
I like it.
that.
I like it too. Yeah,
yeah.
I like it
Just
too.
just real quick, just kind of same thing we talked about with Michael. I don't know how it's going to translate with Jordan Love being the full-time
Yeah.
starter. So there's a little bit of question marks there, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with you.
He's
I think he's the
definitely
only-
he's definitely the go-to guy though for him. Like you said, they got that chemistry.
Yeah.
So
He's the
We'll
only
see.
guy that we've seen any chemistry between the quarterback and receiver.
sure.
And they're gonna be down, I feel like. So
Yeah.
good
I
game
can
script.
get behind that.
And sorry, one last thing with D Hop. I think I agree with you. He's being a little overrated, but I think there's this perception of the Titans, these wide receivers that go there, and really there's no correlation with like going to this team and being bad. So I think people are just kind of remembering like those guys like Julio and Andre Johnson and those guys who went and
Robert Woods.
yeah, and
Last year.
didn't necessarily succeed. So just because he's going to the Titans doesn't
Yeah.
mean he's going to be bad. But I think he's definitely getting older. So I agree with you
No,
there.
I agree with you. I think he's gonna be a pretty solid player for them. Like he's
Yeah.
not a bad player, just not a good fantasy player.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it. He's gonna be a good leader, I'd say.
Yeah.
Shep.
Yeah. So for my underrated player, I have. Oh wait, are we doing underrated or overrated first?
Both.
Whatever you
doesn't
want
matter.
to.
Okay. I'll start with overrated because I think that's what both Kai and Raptus said. But so for my overrated, I have Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks. Currently, Walker has an ADP of 35, and he's being drafted as the RB 14. Which is higher than Deebo Samuel, Amari Cooper, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, and Dameon Pierce. Despite the departure of Rashad Penny, I still don't think that being drafted as an RB14 is right for Walker. He averaged 15.8 fantasy points per game last year, but he was only in because Penny went down. Penny was a better back than him at the start of the season. They went with Penny before they went with Walker. Walker came in as a filler, and he took advantage of the role. Does he repeat it? I'm not sure. Another challenge that he faces is that in the second round, the Seahawks used their pick on rookie running back Zach Charbonnet. And if you take a back in the second round, you can reasonably assume that the guy is going to play a decent role in your offense, a sizable role at that.
Just
So
plugging and
I-
chugging
I-
running backs.
Yeah, I just don't see the value at 35 with Walker, and I think that I would take Gibbs over him, I would take Jones over him, and I would take guys like Debo and Amari Cooper over him.
I agree.
For my underrated, I got Calvin Ridley, who's going at an ADP of 48. He's being drafted as a wide receiver 19, and this is a guy that's being taken at the 4-5 turn. And the last time that we saw a healthy Calvin Ridley season, he was being taken at the 2-3 turn. I remember
He's
because I
nuts.
did it.
And
I
he was a
remember
steal.
because I did it. He was a steal, but then he got suspended because he was on FanDuel.
So, but the guys that he's being taken behind are guys like T.J. Hawkinson. He's being taken behind Damian Pierce. He's being taken behind Amari Cooper. If this is the same Calvin Ridley that was suiting up for Atlanta 2 years back, this is an absolute steal at 48. This is an absolute steal. He has wide receiver 1 potential, and he's being drafted as a wide receiver 19. I think he's one of the best picks that you can make right now in fantasy.
Yeah.
And he's having, he's getting thrown the ball from Trevor Lawrence. I mean, in a division that, I know their schedule's rough, but most of their games, their division rivals have some dog defenses with some dog secondaries. I'm telling you, this pick is money. It's cash.
And I think his ADP is going to go up because he's getting glazed by the Jaguars admin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, seriously, he's getting posted every second. So I think his ADP is going to go up. I think he's going to be a real good pick. I really like that pick.
I'd be willing to bet that he's pretty good.
Did
Fair
you
enough.
see
that
that,
clip?
video of them comparing Zay Jones' routes to Ridley's routes, bro? I was like, it was hard for me to believe that wasn't edited the way Ridley was running those routes.
Oh, it was wild. Man. He's got a passion and a vengeance. Joey, tell me your picks.
Mm-hmm. So for overrated, I have Aaron Jones. He's currently going around like the 13th running back taken. And that's mainly because, and I'm saying he's overrated because he no longer has one of the most talented quarterbacks in the history of the NFL on his team. People weren't scared of Aaron Jones on the Packers. People were scared of Aaron Rodgers. So now that there's Jordan Love, I could see teams stacking the box. Probably not going to get as many dump downs either because press coverage. And also he's splitting carries with AJ Dillon. It's fully just a running back tandem now. Yeah. The carries last year were 213 for Aaron Jones, 187 for AJ Dillon. Aaron Jones had 2 rushing touchdowns. AJ Dillon had 7.
Yeah. And you may expect me to hate that pick, but I think that because of the running back tandem, I can respect that pick because realistically, the offense will not do better if you just start Aaron Jones and play AJ Dillon secondarily. It's going to be better if you play the guy that has the hot hand and that's running better. So that can be either guy, any given Sunday. I'm not going to say I like it, but I can respect it.
All right. And for my underrated guy, I have also another running back in that division, Alexander Mattison. He's currently going around 19th running back, and I could see him legitimately being top 5. He might lead running. No, I'm not going to say that, but I can see him being top 5.
Say it, Joey.
Say it,
Joey.
I'm not going to say it.
Career backup, leading the league in rushing. There we go.
That offense is
5 in 5 career starts. Madison is averaging 142.8 yards per game and has 4 touchdowns in those 5 starts. He also has 22 receptions in those 5 starts. He's gonna produce like Dalvin Cook did. He has the same big play potential. Dalvin Cook runs a 4.5 40. Madison runs a 4.55. And behind Madison is Ty Chandler, Keeney Nwangwu, and Dwayne McBride. He is
they're not running a committee.
Gonna be a workhorse.
I love that.
No committee there.
I like that.
My only pushback on that is I'm just kind of looking at his career stats here. He's never averaged 5 yards per carry, which is slightly concerning, even in those starts.
In his 5 career starts, he has a 4.58 yards per carry. That's not bad.
That's
good.
That's not bad.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's really solid.
I think the opportunity is definitely going to be there. So
I like it. All right. My pick for the overrated are Lamar Jackson's weapons, specifically his receiving weapons. This is not to do with their talent. It is to do with Lamar's talent entirely. Lamar Jackson, QBR during his MVP season was 83. Ever since then, it has not exceeded 67. Another picture to be painted, Lamar has regressed, and all indications point to the defenses that he's playing against figuring him out, and therefore injuries catching up to him, which does not reap rewards for Mark Andrews or Odell Beckham. Lamar had the same amount of games played in 2021 as in 2022, so let's compare both seasons, shall we? In 2021, Lamar had 600 more passing yards than in 2022. That means that he's been far less efficient passing the football between 2021 and 22. What stayed the same? His rushing yards, you may say. So I think that Lamar is going to be a fine fantasy football quarterback. However, I think that if you're looking for his passing game to get more efficient by any stretch of the imagination, I'd say that that is a lost cause. Mark Andrews' progression in his career confirms this. With his 2022 season, he had 56 catches for 654 yards with the same games that Lamar played. And in his 2021 season, Andrews had 67 catches for 853 yards. That's over 200 more yards. Is it over 200? It's literally 1 yard less than 200 more yards with the same amount of games played. Lamar is
Not 200.
regressing, ladies and gentlemen. And and Odell, I mean, obviously Odell's new to the offense. I think that he's going to mirror Hollywood Brown's time in the Ravens, just being frustrated with the lack of targets going his way. I don't think Odell picked the best team to go to, especially because I think that Lamar's just going to be looking to run the football more than he's going to be looking to pass more than ever, especially because defenses have figured him out. Anyone have anything to say about that?
Odell's getting up there in age also in his recent injuries. He's not going to be the same wide receiver he was for the Giants or even for the Rams.
Yeah.
But they just hired a new offensive coordinator, so we don't know what that offense is gonna look like. You know what I'm saying?
I think that
Like we knew what's his name, Greg Roman had him do. It was primarily run the football. He didn't have the weapons that he has now, so we don't know what he's gonna do. Like it's a big question mark. You don't know if it's gonna be good, it's gonna be bad.
I'm
That's
hearing
my take.
reports from like Ravens training camp saying that the offense is completely revamped under Todd Monken, and that they, it's comparable to like getting out of the Stone Age, is what some people are saying, as far as how often they're throwing the ball compared to how they used to be, which was just ground and pound, run heavy, really focused on the run, almost like a triple option scheme. But
yeah, I like it. And let's go back to Mark Andrews because I didn't even mention his ADP. His ADP is 28 overall. He is the consensus tight end too. I think that frankly, with the way that his career's going and with the way that Lamar's throwing numbers have looked over his career, you would be way better off picking the people that are going behind him and waiting on the tight end, getting a solid guy like Dalton Schultz or TJ Hawkinson, because you could get Travis Etienne Jr., you could get T. Higgins, you could get Chris Olave before him, you could get Keenan Allen, the list goes on and on. I think that Mark Andrews is not going to produce at the same level that he did that one season that Lamar did really well. And let's go to underrated. Keenan Allen. I think that people absolutely sleep on Keenan Allen season after season. He isn't the flashiest player. He isn't on the winningest team, and he was injured for a large chunk of last season, which is why I think he was slept on. Currently, he's the 18th wide receiver off the board. I think he should be the 13th through 15th because of one statistic. He averages 9.87 targets with Justin Herbert per game when he starts as quarterback. Are you joking me? That's 10 PPR points every single game just by lacing up pretty much. I mean, I think that if Keenan Allen stays healthy, he's going to be a 20 points a game producer easy for you, especially with targets, which I think now, I mean, this is a whole fantasy football philosophy, but I think targets, especially in PPR, are the way to win. Because, you could have someone that doesn't really have the talent. You could have someone that isn't really as efficient as those touches. But if you have someone that's getting 10 points a game, I mean, that's the floor, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And before, I mean, he obviously got injured last year, but the 5 seasons before that, 4 out of the 5, he had at least 100 receptions. He's going to get the ball.
The thing with Keenan, I think it's a good pick. But the thing with him, it's been his whole career. Is he going to stay healthy? That's the only thing.
That's a big
Yeah,
question.
I really like your reasoning behind
Yeah.
Keenan because of his targets and because of, just the sheer amount of volume that he gets. However, they do bring in Quentin Johnston from TCU as a first-round pick. I assume that he will definitely play a role, big physical guy, extremely gifted, and I think he'll be getting a little bit of that target share. And then also it does depend on how healthy is Mike Williams as well. I just think a lot of the times, these past couple seasons, Mike Williams' health has always been inconsistent and in question, which could also be a reason why he's getting so much volume from Herbert. But other than that, I really like the pick. I think Allen's gonna do great and set himself up for another top 15 wide receiver season. So
hopefully. Now,
A quick little side tangent, Michael.
hit it.
Your take about Mark Andrews made me think of this, but I feel like Travis Kelce should be taken in anywhere from the 3 to 6 range of picks in drafts. And I don't
100%.
I don't
Travis
understand,
Kelce.
frankly, why people aren't. I've played fantasy football for the last 7 years or something like that. How many times have you seen a team in the championship that didn't have Travis Kelce on their team?
exactly.
True. It's not.
And the one team I had Travis Kelce on last year, I made the championship. He is miles above all of the other tight ends.
Kelce,
and frankly, there's an
and
argument for him being the number 1 or number 2 overall pick.
But the thing is, though, that I think Andrews is the clear-cut number 2, though. And then there's a big gap after him.
I mean, I think that what you're saying doesn't really matter that much, Chris, respectfully, because I think the drop off from 1 to 2 is so huge that even if Andrews finishes as tight end 2 or, has a tight end 2 type season, I think that his ADP at 28 does not warrant him having that drop off of a tight end 2 compared to that tight end 1 spot.
The thing is, you can find receivers in wide receiver 8, 9, 10. After Andrews, I mean, Waller's having a good training camp. Maybe he's gonna be good. But
I like Waller a lot.
What do you have after Andrews?
Consistent
receiving
you
production.
You don't need to take a
Hawkinson.
tight end at 28.
No.
You can wait to have a tight end at 40, get a solid guy, and instead build up those guys around the tight end. Because to Joey's point, after Travis Kelce, the tight ends essentially become useless to me, especially with what I think about Mark Andrews and how he's going to regress this season. I think that after Travis Kelce, you leave that tight end spot untouched until you build up your
I
team.
mean, Andrews was injured last year. That's the bottom line. So you don't know.
What do we think about Kyle Pitts?
No,
Oh
Arthur
my
Smith
God.
doesn't throw his tight
I'm
ends.
fading Kyle Pitts.
Oh,
I'm
God.
high on the Falcons. Fading Kyle Pitts.
I love
but then
Kyle
I don't.
Pitts,
No,
but
I'm
come
curious.
on, man.
You're gonna go Kelce, and then who's second? Is it not Andrews to you?
Hawkinson.
It's Andrew.
Yeah, I was just
Andrews.
about to say Hawkinson.
Hawkinson.
I can see Hawkinson.
Hawkinson is
averaged
third.
8 targets a game. You kidding me? I mean that's solid.
I
because-
agree though.
What's
I don't see the
Hawkinson's
value.
I mean, they're gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
What's Hawkinson's
I
ADP?
don't see the value in taking a Andrews at 28 whenever you can get a guy like Cole Kmet in the 7th or 8th round and he'll give you 8 points a game. I just don't.
And let's face it, Mark Andrews' production does not even compare to Travis Kelce's.
No.
They might as well play a different position.
Right.
And TJ Hawkinson's ADP is 44.
So
which
it's
is
not
criminal.
far off. It's a round behind.
Okay, yeah, I don't think Mark Andrews is that separated from TJ Hawkinson to
No, I
warrant
agree with
28
you.
versus 44.
But I think you're ranking him way too low. He gets volume. He's Lamar's favorite target. He has been.
Listen,
And
to the
with a new
audience, if you
offensive
keep watching this
coordinator-
podcast, you will realize that there is one thing that is very, very common. It is that I am not a big fan of Lamar Jackson, specifically his throwing. Throwing the football is something that he is not very good at.
Your takes on OBJ, Zay Flowers, I get that. But I think Mark Andrews is stretching it because no matter how bad Lamar is, he gets his targets.
I mean, he
he's
had
a
a
good
drop
tight
off
end.
last season.
Because he was injured. We talked about that.
He played.
Dude,
Stat
he was
muse, man.
banged up. He had broken ribs or some shit last year. How are you gonna catch the ball easily with broken ribs? I think his regression was kind of a outlier, honestly.
I love the fact that you had Mark Andrews tank your fantasy season last year, and you still support him. I love that. I think that really shows how good of a man you are. But frankly, I don't think you're fooling anybody here, man.
If he was really a bad player, I would agree with you. But I think he's a good player that was injured. had no
He's a great
quarterback.
guy. He's a great guy. He has
Listen,
diabetes. I mean,
I
he's
respect
overcome a lot.
him playing through injury, which a lot of guys don't.
You
I don't
implying
think the
anyone?
regression is something to worry about.
Oh my gosh,
honestly.
dude! I was about to say the meanest thing ever.
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
Go
Oh,
we'll
really?
We'll cut it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, talking about respecting playing through injuries. I mean, it's great coming from a Tua fan. I love to hear that.
It's crazy.
Oh
That's
my
out.
God.
Yeah,
out there.
he's
I'm
playing,
sorry.
even though he could have retired.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's playing through injury. Like, what's the point here? I
It's
don't
not
get
good
it.
for anyone, I don't think. But
All it takes is one more hit.
Joey, you said that
Oh.
very menacingly.
All it takes is one
No,
fake
I'm
knee
just
As
slide.
if he's gonna suit up and take
It
it.
just takes one more fake knee slide, and
He doesn't do that
right, his
anymore. He
body
knows
goes
it,
left.
it's not allowed. He
He
knows
falls
he's not
like
gonna
a
do that
tree
again.
trunk. All right.
This is
Speaking
ridiculous. Let's end this.
of offensive subjects,
Oh God.
today we have a very, very special draft segment. Today, we as teams, it's going to be Joey and I versus Chris, Kai, and Shep. We are going to be drafting teams of NFL players that you would not want dating your sister.
All right, everybody. For this segment, we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to pick our players, NFL players, that you would least like to date your sister. So now this could venture into the dangerous, the unimaginable, but I think it'll be a little fun. So Joey and I have the first pick. It'll be Joey and I versus the team of Kai, Chris, and Shep. Joey, tell us 1.1.
Well, real quick, we're doing all time, right?
Yeah.
All timers, man. All timers.
All right. Then with my number one pick, I'm gonna go with OJ Simpson.
Wow. Can you give us a brief rundown on why you took him at 1.1?
He just rubs me the wrong way. There's something about him.
Honestly,
You know,
like, I feel you.
Like he's I mean, dude, in my opinion, that's not that good of a pick because he's publicly stated like he doesn't know if he's around the killer. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
No, yeah,
And-
he has no idea who the killer is, but he wrote a book saying how he would murder if he did it though.
If he did.
That's a big if though.
Yeah.
Now,
big.
honestly, like coming from someone that has a sister, I don't think he's a stand-up guy, so I do respect that pick. I like it, Joey. All right. Kai, tell me your
all right.
1.1.
Okay, so our team with our first pick. So I'm not gonna lie, OJ was my number one guy too, but I think we're gonna go with Mr. Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. Like you said, Joey, he rubs me the wrong way too. So yeah. So yeah, not somebody in particular I'd want to be around my sister. So that's gonna be our first pick. Any thoughts on that, or Chris, you want to take our second?
Please don't take the guy that I'm thinking of, man.
That's a
Please don't
wonderful
take the
pick.
guy that I'm thinking of.
But for our second pick, honestly, he was not in my top 5, but I'm gonna take him just to piss off Joey.
No, bro.
With our second pick, we're going with Big Ben
Oh
Roethlisberger.
my.
No.
Joey, why did we give them our draft board? I can't believe
It
it.
got leaked.
All right. There's a lot of other players I wouldn't want to date my
Chris,
sister.
why would you take Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers franchise quarterback?
Do I have to explain myself?
I mean, just a little bit, man. Like, enlighten us.
Tempted to.
I mean, I just
Yeah,
wouldn't
like
want
that.
my sister to be engaged in a romantic relationship with Big Ben. Is that so bad?
Honestly, no. I think it's a good pick. There's a reason why he was on our board.
He's
I
also
think for
too
anyone-
freaking large.
Oh, I think for anyone that wants to consider a list like this, I would say Ben Roethlisberger is a solid pick, especially at the 1-2 turn. So
Yeah.
all right. So I'm gonna kind of follow the same trend with our pick. follow the trend of this stand-up organization known as the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm gonna go with Antonio Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, I just
What a
think
stretch.
there is no need to go around. Like Antonio Brown, he seems like he's a little bit, not really the guy that you would want for a stable relationship. I don't think that if he met your parents or anyone in your family for that matter, he would leave a good impression. And I just think that your sister's gonna be rubbed the wrong way because of him. Joey,
Yeah.
what are we thinking of that pick?
I like that pick. That's a good pick.
Thank you.
I mean, he did say no more white women. So
Who says
Yeah.
my sister number?
Can't say I'd want him to be my brother-in-law either. So
Yeah.
I like that pick.
With our next pick, I'm going to go with a division rival. And frankly, I'm a little surprised he fell this far. I'm going with Ray Rice.
Wow.
Oh, the classic.
That's a great
What a
pick.
value
I feel
pick
like
What a
my
pick.
sister
Classic.
could potentially be in some sort of harm if
No.
if she dated
No.
Ray Rice. So
You could say
I
that
just
with
prefer
reasonable
if you didn't.
confidence.
I
yeah.
like that.
I mean,
punch.
to be fair, like I probably wouldn't like want the guy across from me in the elevator, but like maybe in some stairs or something, like take the stairs with this guy or
That's
something.
possible.
But I don't know.
We don't actually know. He could be a perfectly nice guy, not in an elevator, but
Maybe
It's
elevators
inevitable
just
that-
trigger him. Who knows?
it's inevitable that your sister's going to be in an elevator with him, once or twice if they're dating. So I like that pick, Joey. Obviously, a historical all-timer.
Nice.
All right.
He's a legend.
all right,
Shep,
you
you want to take our
guy?
third?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the third here. I'll go with the current Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Ooh.
Guy's a hot shot, man. You think I want him dating my sister? He's out here dating porn stars, taking them out to dinner and shit, man. Not my type of guy. Not a stand-up guy. Seems like his head's too big for his own body, bro. Come on now.
A little bit of a tool, you could say.
I like the twist on that.
I
the
agree.
ego pick. Yeah.
I feel like that would be the guy that would just like look you up and down and just think that you're inferior to him just because
Yeah,
he's so good looking. Like I wouldn't want him around my family.
Like Jimmy G's a great look. I mean, dude, he's a good looking dude, right? But just, I mean, come on now, guy's a player, man. You think I want him
Yeah.
around my family? No.
I don't want
No.
my sister crying because he plays her.
Exactly.
I like it. I like it. All right, last pick. This is a
Ooh,
big one.
yeah.
Chris,
Chris, you want to take this
take
one?
it away.
Wait,
This is only 4 for us, I think.
Yeah, this is 4 for us.
All right, so your last
Yeah,
two.
totally mess it up then. Yeah.
No. So Kai takes one, and then we end the draft later.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
Let me see. Here, Chris, you take your guy, and then let me do a little more research here.
Okay. So this is my guy. This is my 1-1 right here. Okay.
Whoa.
The
It's
guy
a solid
that
1-1.
Why
the
do you
guy
fall
that-
so far then?
because
Value, brother.
you guys wouldn't take him. So
Okay,
the
fine.
guy that I wouldn't want date my sister would be Carl Nassib.
And why is that?
Oh my God.
What
I-
makes you say
Oh
that?
my God.
I want my sister to be loved
Krista,
by her significant other. I
are
want her.
you by
What do you
I'm
mean
serious.
by that?
I don't think.
Yesterday, he
don't-
texted in our chat. He said Carl Nassib because he won't love my sister.
I want my sister to have a happy marriage that would last. I don't think he can provide her with true love. It's not his
needs-
fault. He just can't.
We're really taking, like a different angle here. Oh wow. I think he'd take good care of her though. I think he's a
I
great
think
guy.
absolutely.
Oh, he
I
would.
think he would be.
If
I
they wanna
think
go-
Carl Nassib's a great guy. I think he's a
Yeah.
great guy. It's just when it comes to actually loving my sister and being in a romantic relationship with my sister, I don't think he's got what it takes, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I like it.
long term, maybe not the best solution there.
All right.
All right,
Kai,
you guys.
you're up.
Well, I think that's 2 for us. So you
you
guys want
guys
to take
get
your
two.
last 2?
Wait,
Road tripping.
how many guys have you taken?
We have 4. We have Carl Nassib, Big Ben.
You guys have 3. So
We have 3. So we'll take our last 2. Michael, you want to go first?
Oh, do I want to go first? All right. I'm taking a different angle on this one. You know, we've said some guys that have done very questionable things, I would say, but this is someone that I just think like he would definitely rub me the wrong way, and it's for different reasons. I'm taking Philip Rivers.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
I wouldn't want that many
I
nephews
think
and nieces.
that's what I mean. I think it's a good pick because why in the world would you want your sister to be reproducing so many children? Like, it just gets to a point where it's like, Philip, like, are you okay? What is wrong with you? Like, let my sister live. Let her get a career. Let her, just not take care of children all her life. It's absolutely devastating what Philip Rivers would do. I'd say to my sister, her career, her morale, and so many annoying kids running around. Give me Philip Rivers.
Good pick.
I like
Sleeper
that pick. I like that pick.
Thank you.
For our last pick, I'm torn between two guys here, but I'm going to go with someone that I just think is absolutely insane. And frankly, I'm shocked that he doesn't have more scandals around him. I'm going with Golden Tate. This dude,
that's a
this
good
dude
pick.
is
Wow.
mental. He is mental.
The
He also allegedly had an affair with Russell Wilson's wife, and they forced him out of Seattle. That's all alleged. I don't know how true that is, but the dude is just, he is not all there in the head, and
Interesting.
I don't feel like he would be good for my sister.
It's a
And
very
I thought
Antonio
having Bill
Brown-esque.
Romanowski was deep, but geez, man, Golden Tate, that's a good pull.
I like that. I like that pick quite a bit.
Nice.
All
All
right.
right.
You guys have one final pick to go.
So I think for our final pick, we're gonna go
Layup.
with Aaron Rodgers for a couple reasons.
I
For a
love
couple
that.
reasons.
I love that pick.
I honestly, I don't agree with that pick, guy.
I'll get
I
here.
don't
Just
love that pick.
hear me out.
Let him
Hear me out.
explain.
All right, I'm hearing you out. Yeah.
Number one, big drugs guy, right? He uses a lot of those hardcore drugs. Don't want any of that rubbing off into my family, right? Number two, right? Anti-vaxxer. I can't say I want my kids growing up
He's
unhealthy.
protected-ish.
Yeah.
Ish.
He's immune.
Yeah. And number three, I just think he's maybe taken one too many hits to the head, and I think a couple screws loose up there. So that's gonna round out.
He's got a
our
big
five.
ego also.
You guys have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have an honorable mention here. 1/3 of the 2008 Florida Gators roster.
That's a
Very
good pick.
You should have picked that.
Very
That's such a
good.
good
I
pick.
can't believe Aaron Hernandez fell. I can't believe that.
Riley
Oh.
Cooper.
Well, I
Riley
wasn't.
Cooper.
Oh, Riley Cooper. That's
I
the
missed
great
Riley
one.
Cooper. Maybe Malcolm Jenkins. I messed up, man, missing those guys.
I had
was
Stephon
thinking,
Diggs because they
Stephon
literally
Diggs.
asked him
Because
that.
of the
video.
I thought of him too.
Interesting.
That's funny.
Diggs would have been a pretty
Also,
good one.
Gronk,
But you
bro.
can't point it down. Well, he's got CTE.
One of my honorable mentions was Russell Wilson. I just think the guy is
Dude,
such a dweeb. I don't want his
I have
genetics
Russell
in
Wilson
my
on here
family.
too.
He's such a dweeb, bro. Oh my god.
Russell Wilson is
I want-
the only dude I have on here that like never has actually done anything wrong, and it's literally
what I'm
just because I
saying.
don't like him.
Dude, he's such a meme, bro. Let's ride. Let's ride.
I have Matt Ariza as a sleeper pick. I think that even though he was cleared allegedly, I just think the fact that you were accused of something like that, that's got to speak volumes, man. Plus, even if the allegations weren't true, I mean, I wouldn't want my sister dealing with all those, press mayhem. Ridiculous.
Sure.
All
Chris,
right,
Chris, you want to tell them about the other sleeper we had that we were discussing?
Oh, Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I mean,
not bad.
Who,
That's not bad.
Who would want their nephews to be smooched
On the lips.
on the lips? Like,
I would hate that.
Dude's gonna be macking with my nephews more than
I
my
also
sister,
had
bro.
Mr. Cromartie, Antonio Cromartie. Apparently, he's paying like 9 child support, so I wouldn't want to make that 10.
Wow, I can't wait for the NBA
he's got like
version
a
of this
third
list.
of Nick Cannon's numbers right now.
And honestly, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't really trust my sister with Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Oh, I like that pick. Very irresponsible, man.
Dude,
I'd say.
it's always the Raiders dudes, bro.
Yeah, something's going on in Vegas, dude. I'm telling you, Al
I
Davis
was
is running
thinking of
something.
picking Pac-Man Jones. I mean,
Pac-Man Jones would be good.
that guy's not on there, man. He's not on
I-
there.
I have Steve Smith on my list also, just because he's got the worst anger management issues I've ever seen in the NFL.
Oh, give me Alden Smith. Who's
Oh,
on
yeah.
mine. Yeah, Alden Smith's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I mean, everybody, I guess you have to stay tuned for the NBA version of this list. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
say that one might have some
Wait.
sort of, sleeper picks. Some
Gilbert
fairly
Arenas.
obvious. Some fairly obvious. I've got a certain jazz legend on my mind that's just at the tip of it.
Oh,
Who, Michael?
we're
Oh,
getting
Michael who?
we're getting
I
sensitive.
guess I'll have to stay tuned.
John
I guess you have to
Stockton?
tune-
Adrian Dantley, maybe?
Thurl
Larry Markkanen?
Bailey,
Derek Favors. No, I'm kidding.
Craig
I love Derek.
Ostertag. Wow,
Guys,
That's wild.
I don't think we're hitting the nail on the head, but if you want to watch something like that, please like and subscribe. We will be back next week for another full episode upload. Please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. We will see you all later.
And follow the Twitter starting5_pod. Had to grab that. in there.
And check us out on Spotify
Any other
as well.
plugs?
Yep.
Any other
Everything,
plugs?
man.
Any other plugs? We're gonna make an Instagram soon, so be on the lookout
Yep.
for that. But
Stay
I'm gonna
tuned.
look out. I'm gonna be looking fresh on the gram. All right. You know
Yeah.
it.
Okay, bro.
Big things on the way. Let's get all right.
All right.